Peace and love. Let's do a reading for the water signs, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, for the month of April. But pretty much if you come across these readings, they're timeless. So anytime you come across one, it might be a message in here for you. But we're dealing with the themes of spring, renewal, planting seeds, moving into new territory, starting fresh. So let's get started. All right. Spirit, what messages do you have for the water signs, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, as we head into the spring months to aid in our healing, as we're moving towards abundance, showing up as our true selves, honoring our bodies, our minds, our spirits, honoring the Most High energy? What messages do you have for the water signs, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio? Thank you. All right. Stability. This was in the last reading I did. Self-worth, inspiration, simplification, organization, open-mindedness, being content here with Veracruz Amethyst. All right. Being content means that wherever we are right now, whether we need healing, whether we need growth, because we always need those things, right? But wherever we are at this moment, saying, I love who I am, I give thanks for who I am, and I'll work from this moment forward, all right, into a better version of myself. We're always working towards that. But we want to love ourselves at every moment, every space, every place. All right, so let's see here. So Spirit is saying that we're working towards stability. This is similar to the other reading that I did. What does that mean? So stability can be your foundation, but it also means spiritually. And then, because we have self-worth, it means being stable in who you are. All right? Have contentment here. Loving yourself at every moment. That's being stable. Maybe we don't have everything figured out. We don't have the answers to every single thing. But if we know who we are first and foremost, then we're already powerful, in my opinion. Underneath that, we have the simplification card, Terminated Quartz. It's the idea of pretty much what it says. Simplifying your life. Removing things that are burdensome. Removing things that cloud your vision. That make you feel like we have self-worth here. So anything that puts that self-worth at risk, where you're not honoring yourself the way you should be. All right, so we want to simplify our surroundings, people we're dealing with. If you're at a job, simplifying what you're doing there. Take it down a notch. When it comes to your home, simplifying your spaces, getting rid of things, clearing out. All those things will bring about a lightness of being. Right beside, we have the simplification card of organization. Organizing our minds, first and foremost. All right, knowing where we want to go, knowing who we want to be, how we want to show up. That's all a part of organization. But it goes hand in hand with the simplifying. Organizing your spaces. All right? Spaces don't just exist physically. They exist spiritually as well. They exist in the heart. Organizing the heart space. Putting yourself first. Honoring yourself first. This is similar to the reading I did for the earth signs, except it was about financially abundance. So you might want to watch that one as well. Spirit is saying that be inspired by life. Be inspired by who you are and what you've done. But also leave room there for beautiful things to happen that you can't imagine with this open-mindedness card. Moldavite is a powerful stone of expansion. All right. extreme transformation. It's when you want to be brave enough to go through something that's powerful beyond belief with the Moldavite. And so opening yourself up for something powerful to come into your life. How do we get there? You have to love yourself first with a self-worth card. You have to see your importance. You have to see what you have to offer to the world. But before you offer it to the world, you want to give offering to who you are, just by the words that you speak and things that you say. For some of us with this organization, this comes up too because it's under the self-worth card. We want to make sure that we are dealing with organizations, and this is business to me, that honor us and see our value and see our worth. Because nothing hurts you more or depletes you more than dealing in circumstances and with people who weigh you down, take from you, and it's not reciprocal, right? So we want to make sure that we are storing up spiritually when we're dealing with these situations to eventually move out of them. That's really the key. We don't want to be in any organizations that are harmful to our self-worth. And I don't know what that might be. You would know. Organization could be anything. A friends group, workplace, relationship. All right, let's see. Let's get a quick Lenormand message. Transformation here with a snake, but also making sure that you are speaking kindness to yourself. The snake energy is like sharpness, sharp words. You know, things that aren't true. Things that aren't truthful. It's also dealing with people who don't have your best interest. The snake can be many different things. But we want to make sure that we're not dealing with snake-like characters. And we want to make sure that we're not being a snake to ourselves as well. That's extremely important. Don't be your enemy, your own worst enemy. True stability comes from loving yourself. We already said that. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect beings. We're not perfect beings. We're not supposed to be. But wherever we are, because we have contentment here, wherever we are and however we show up, if we're being ourselves, then honor that. Honor that space. Do you have it all together? You might not. Is everything organized the way you want it to be? No, maybe not. But that's okay. We want to get there. And that's what we do know. But Spirit is saying, open your mind up. Open your mind up to how beautiful things can be. Things beyond your imaginings. The fish, moving forward, abundance, change with the stork energy. Coming in quickly. Coming in quickly. Beautiful energy here, coming in quickly. But the whip always, I don't care where it's positioned in my readings when I read. It's always the idea that things could have been difficult beforehand. The whip deals with repetitive energy, good or bad, but it also deals with argumentative people, negative environments, making sure that you're not speaking harshly to yourself. All right, that you're speaking kindness first. That's how we pay ourselves. That's the financial way that we pay our spirit. By working with spirit, working spiritually on the self, working to heal the spiritual body, but walking and acting in kindness. Also, being in power here, we have the masculine energy showing up. Being in control of your life. Being in the front. All right? Not allowing, people are lining up and it's your life. And next thing you know, you're in the back of the line and other people in the front and they're leading the way. You want to make sure that you're leading the way in your life. That you're the one at the front of the line. That you have the say. speaking kindness here, right? Being happy with what you have. Happy communication here coming in, but happy communication to the self. Let's get a couple. For some of us, this is one of my favorite stones. This is a necklace that I used to, it was one of my mother's necklaces, but it it's it came off the chain. And so I put it in my thing. So the idea of this is that it's disconnected. It's not connected anymore. And so for me on this organization card, it's the idea of, first of all, it's rose quartz. So we want to make sure that we're dealing with people, that we're organizing our minds, right? And we're dealing with self-love. But that we're dealing in organizations, if it's about a place, that see our value and that we love ourselves enough to see our value within those places. If we're not seeing our value within those places, a couple things are happening. Either we're looking to others to give us value, or we're in the wrong place. Because if we're using discernment, we should know where we need to be. We should be able to feel it. And if you don't feel it, it means that something's not right. And so you need to evaluate that. But also disconnect from spaces that don't honor you. All right? And if it's a way of thinking and a way of being, disconnect from it. All right? Because we have to talk about self-worth out here with the Morganite. That's what this reading is about. Loving the self, loving and honoring the self to bring about stability. Once you do that, that inspiration, that burst of information, that burst of those ideas, those things are going to just flow. We have the abundance here, the movement forward with the fish, the open-mindedness. Those things will open our mind when we're honoring ourselves. Protection here with the onyx on the organization. So dealing with the right people, dealing in the right spaces, putting up those protective guards if need be, if we're in some spaces that we can't get out right away. All right? That's another way to honor the self, to put your protections up. Moldavite. We have it's like a piece of ametrine. This is a mixture of amethyst and citrine. So citrine deals with, for me, solar plexus chakra, being able to know where you belong, feeling it in the body. All right? We get intuitive hits in many different ways. Of course, we get those messages from spirit, but we feel it in the body as well. And so you want to honor the way you feel. However you feel, there's something to investigate there. And so we want to make sure that we're paying attention to how we feel in the belly, how we feel. If we're going to places and we're not feeling our best, this is really similar to that reading I did on my other channel. I will link it because it's giving me similar vibes. It means that we need to sit with ourselves for a bit, open our minds up, and maybe we haven't opened our minds up enough. Maybe our vision isn't big enough. Maybe our vision is too closed or too small. I don't know, that's coming to me. But the idea with this is abundance, right? Through open-mindedness. Because citrine talks about abundance as well. It talks about financial abundance, but abundance spiritually. Amethyst deals with communication with our spirit guides, higher self, crown chakra energy, third eye chakra, opening our minds up to spiritual revelations with this. The penny. This is interesting to me. You're not obsolete. What you bring and what you have to say and what you do matters. Why am I saying this? Because the penny has now recently been removed out of circulation. It's obsolete now. But it's still currency. It still has value. All right? It's still important. It still has weight. And so we want to make sure that we see the value in who we are and that we're honoring that. I don't know. Give me a message about this, Spirit. When it comes to simplifying our lives, organizing, inner child. So some of us, I'm going to pull another one too. We have acceptance. So we have 2 cards, 3 if we have Morganite. We have rose quartz and rhodochrosite. These are all cards that deal with the heart chakra. This is all self-love energy, all 3 of them. And so for some of us, accepting, because we have the contentment card, accepting ourselves right here at this moment, knowing that right at this moment, right here, you have value. And right now, you have something extremely important to offer. Whatever that is for you, how do you know it? You have to feel it. You have to feel it. And if you don't feel it, you have to open your mind up to spiritual communication to receive those messages. Right? But for some of us, we're still healing from things that happened in childhood. Maybe somebody told us something. Maybe somebody made us feel a certain way. Maybe we didn't believe in ourselves the way we did, the way we should have. Maybe our vision was clipped as a child. Maybe our circumstances were boxed in. Who knows? You know, right? But we need to go back there. Healing needs to happen. First of all, contentment starts, you start there. You start there in saying, Spirit, I'm not perfect, nor do I want to be. But please help me heal from something from my past. Or please let me see the beautiful things that I have to offer. Or please let me go back to the vision of a child here, because we have the open-mindedness, the inspiration, those things that happened when we had that spirit of belief and nobody told us no, and the doors weren't closed and we weren't boxed in. All right? And we could expand our minds and we can flow like fish. All that stuff. We can fly like cranes. All right, so let's see. This is not a crane though. This is a stork. It's a stork. All right, so let's see. Let's get one more. I said I was going to make it quick, but I just want to pull one more. Self-love. So we're not going to get away from that message. Self-love, self-worth. This is another heart chakra stone, kunzite. Heart healing energy. Loving on the self before you love on anyone else. It's no way really possible to love on anybody else the way you should be, or in a truthful manner, if you're not loving on yourself. It's false. So loving on yourself first. All right, let's pull one. All right, angels. We're talking about self-worth. Let's bring that card out because it's a beautiful stone, kunzite. We're talking about self-worth and self-love. What message do you have for us? And this is a Sacred Medicine Oracle by Asha Frost. Artwork by Steph Littleberg. What message do you have for us? Beautiful things are coming in, though. They really are. With this last row. But it also talks about challenges, too. And that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know if I completed that thought. But I read Lenormand in many different ways. A lot of times with Lenormand, it's a sentence. And so, you read it based on the direction of the cards. But earlier when I mentioned the whip to me, it's kind of like the strength card or a card in the tarot where if it shows up, it means that something else has happened. All right. It means that you've gone through something difficult. And that's the way I view this card. Humility. I'm going to have humility here. All right. Because it's always important to practice humility. But I don't really know if somebody wants to pull that message and they want to gain something from that, that's fine. I might read the affirmation from that. But this is the one I'm interested in, the ancestral love tending. And so we'll read this one. And then I might, let me see that one though, with the birch tree, 29. Let's take a look at it. And let's just get a little bit from it. Let's read the healing affirmation for this one, for the birch, where it says humility. I'm going to read it, actually. I'm going to read both. All right, so birch tree humility. Birch invites you to reach your crown up to the cosmos, one with creation, steady and rooted. Birch bark is layered with meaning. The white base filled with marks that looks like scratches, yet we have used its medicine to build canoes. One could call birch imperfect, yet we all see its beauty and strength. Its medicine reminds us to take up the space we divinely deserve, despite all of our perceived imperfections. Just like the flowers bloom into their fullest expression, the moss that spreads its greenish hue along the forest floor and the stars that shimmer for thousands of years, you too are asked to see the same power in your presence. Are there places in your life where you make yourself small or insignificant? Where do you hear yourself repeating these words over and over again? Birch Tree is here to call you out of the spell. Perhaps some voices have told you to shine, but not too bright, to rise, but not so much that you are full of yourself. Shrinking, holding back, and not taking up your rightful space is not true humility. Birch is here to remind you that you are one with all of creation. It is time to see yourself reflected in its beauty. Stand tall, illuminate your presence, walk with the grace that you naturally carry. Even with your perceived wounds and scars, like the weathered white birch of the tree, you are breathtaking. Sacred ceremony. Birch tree reaches its long branches down to you. The branches embrace you, freeing you from layers of doubt, of old voices that have told you that it's safer to stay small. Birch sends an infusion of golden light around you, weaves through your system, awakening your fullest potential and magnificence. Breathe this into your lungs, activating your life force. It is up to you to choose how you would take your next bold steps. With humility in your heart, you rise. Healing affirmation. I am significant. I am a significant part of creation upon this planet. I choose to take up my rightful space here. What a beautiful message. Thank you, Spirit. I honor you. I almost didn't read this card. Why? Because I thought I knew. But the cards, guys, I read through spirit. I communicate through spirit with the cards. And a lot of times the cards come up for a reason and they know. The energy knows. Right? So who am I? I practice humility as well. Who am I to know? So this is the perfect message here. And I was reading it as maybe humility isn't what's needed in this instance, but the whole idea of this card is, we need to understand what humility means. And we want to make sure that we're practicing in the right way. We're not harming ourselves with this energy, that we're uplifting ourselves. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to read this one as well. Ancestral love tending. And then we're going to bring it to a close. Ancestral love tending. The many ancestors of your lineage come forward to remind you that you are surrounded by the love of thousands. With their hearts wide open, they offer you waves of compassion that inform your belonging. Have you ever felt like you that you do not fit in? Does generational trauma keep you from knowing the truth and depth of your identity? The ancestors remind you that you are not made up of percentages of your heritage. You are whole as you are. If there are moments where you grieve what has been lost, please know that your ancestors hold you in tenderness. They call you home to yourself and remind you that nothing is ever gone. There's deep wisdom of those who came before you that floods through your veins. It is the highest vibration of love. Watch for animal medicine, songs, scents, synchronicities, and other ways your ancestors are showing up. Pay attention to each message, as the veil is thin and the communication is vital for you to hear. Absorb and surround yourself with. You are never alone. You belong. Lean on their love to uplift and affirm you. Sacred ceremony. Your ancestors are close, offering you waves of knowledge and remembering. Place your hands over your heart and feel the wisdom from generations past flowing to you. They all stand behind you, thousands of hearts pulsing into yours. It strengthens your resolve to keep going. Never ever forget how precious you are. Healing affirmation. As I call upon my ancestors, I feel supported, seen, and held. What a beautiful and powerful message. This is the Oracle deck. Highly recommended if you do not have it. It's a Hay House deck. Hay House has beautiful decks, especially for people of color. I highly recommend them. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've gained anything from this message, please consider giving me a like, maybe sharing. Love you. Until next time, peace.